David Gass of Soccer Wise is joining me today to go over all things MLS, some NWSL, and some Premier League stuff going on. But let's start today in Major League Soccer because there was a little bit of gossip, a little bit of news. So Thomas Müller, he scores his first goal, but he also accidentally became part of some USMNT drama, which I think a lot of people did not exactly see that coming. But that is why it is our top topic.
This is the top topic.
Presented by Buchanan's blended Scotch whiskey, an official FIFA World Cup 26 supporter. Nos vamos al Mundial with a Bucanita in hand. So, Thomas Müller, I mean, we'll get to the game a little bit because he does score his first goal in a little bit of a controversial fashion. But really, what made a lot of news was the press conference after the game because we should just play it right here.
Tristan now is nominated for the USA, so if he plays good today, the game is already played. Yeah, in the end it is what it is. I heard what I heard. Congrats to Tristan. And congrats to USA.
Müller accidentally announces that Tristan Blackman, the center back for Vancouver Whitecaps, that he was on the preliminary Gold Cup roster, didn't make the final squad, but he says basically congratulating him for getting called up by the US. He didn't say the word called up, but we all knew what he meant. And this has not been announced anywhere. We don't know the roster. Tristan Blackman has never been called up by the U.S. men's national team. So news to a lot of people. Tristan Blackman's been on the show. Great dude. Incredibly happy for him. But as a 29-year-old who's never been called up to the U.S., but definitely has grown a lot and improved a lot in Vancouver. He was very good for LAFC, but he's become much more of a leader, I think, in Vancouver and an important player. But Thomas Müller revealing this, I loved the immediate realization, and he also did the
slurp it back up.
Which
you gotta slurp those words back up, man. Everyone knows that. That's classic.
This is, I mean, it's just the choice. I think he was trying to do the Ace Ventura reverse.
Yeah, maybe.
But he did the slurping. I'm like, yo, Thomas, you're gonna be a meme, bro. Yeah. You can't be doing the slurp at the mic like that.
He was proud of it. I think after he was done, he looked around like, I nailed that.
This was it was goofy and silly, but now this is a little bit of, now Tristan Blackman and Pochettino are going to deal with the preemptive, wait, why are you calling him up? Is this who we need? But like the USMNT drama that we all know and love and we're all used to. Tristan didn't even get a chance to prepare. Do you think he's mad at Müller in any way about this?
I think it's funny because it's like Thomas Müller's been in how many locker rooms with how many internationals and has probably never done that before. Yeah. So I don't know if he's just unaware of the timing. It feels very odd that it's like in the first, it's kind of one of those where you're like, this guy doesn't mess up. Like he's been in front of media a decent amount in his career. So it seems really weird that it happened. Yeah. I think the worst case scenario would be if Tristan Blackman isn't called up. Like he misunderstood. Because he says nominated. And it's like, okay, right. But did he come in the locker room and be like, hey, they called me. They're looking at me like if we play well, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I don't know. They're friendlies. I mean, obviously the U.S. only has friendlies to play in. But like, Pochettino's still trying people out. Also, this is probably a hard thing to say because he's his teammate and Thomas Müller's only been here for like 2 weeks. But like the fact that Thomas Müller doesn't think it's crazy that Tristan Blackman's good enough to get called up, does that mean maybe people on Twitter are wrong and that maybe Thomas Müller's like, this guy's pretty good at soccer and like is an acceptable international?
Maybe. I mean, I think the instinct to, whenever these big name designated players come to MLS, they're like, okay, well, I'm the big name, and some players take more ownership of like, all right, I'm going to help grow the league in this country, where in Canada, in the US or whatever. So I think he was doing it as like almost like proud dad energy.
Yeah.
Like I want to let the world know my son is
Right.
getting his first call up. So he just did it in such a sincere way. But I love, really the moment is like, I wish I could see the camera of all the journalists in the room, because you see Muller's face. He's like, oh, wait, I don't know if I should have.
Yeah, he knows immediately that everyone's reaction on the other side is like, what'd you just say?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So in one way, it's like cute. I mean, it would be, at this point, like you said, imagine he wasn't actually called up.
That
Like
would be
Pochettino now, he's like, damn, I got to call him up. I mean, I don't want to make Muller look bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's my guy, you know? Him and Harry Kane are close. Harry's going to call me. There's a whole thing at that point.
yeah, so I love the moment, and again, this feels like an exceptionally North American soccer moment, because we just don't really have the gaffes that we have in Europe are just like Mourinho stuff, and they're a little bit more contentious. They're not like cute like this or whatever. But as far as Tristan Blackman getting called up, is this I mean, it is exciting, I guess, because I sort of know him personally.
Right.
To some degree, I'm just like happy for him. Anybody who does the show, I want good things happen for you, right? Because you
call me up, Pochettino. Call me up. It's
a little bit the Cooligans blessing. It took a couple years for it to hit. But Tristan Blackman, I mean, is like a workhorse, and I would just love. I'm curious to see how he would do at the international level. Like I think of, like Alex Freeman getting called up. Like we see him in Orlando, and you see him like bodying wingers, and some, he just makes it really, as far as a defender, he just can make other MLS wingers like look pretty bad. And then when you saw him on in the national team, you're like, whoa, he doesn't look 100% ready for this. Like it's just, when we're like, there's levels to this or whatever, and it's like, whoa, you can really see the difference. And Tristan Blackman, I'm just curious, like, is he gonna look the part when he is wearing a US shirt?
Yeah, it's, he came out of college, he got drafted by LAFC with Bob Bradley, and like the thing that everyone told us, which was true, is he is an out of control athlete. He's a freak athlete. Like he is jumps out of the gym type stuff. Like, and so then the whole question was like, could you turn him into the soccer player alongside the athlete side? It's probably come a little bit slower, but I think for Pochettino, he's looking at it and saying, well, Vancouver plays out. They play through pressure. They play out through their center backs. He's on the ball a ton in tough situations. And look at the season they had. He's done it in Mexico. He's done it away at Miami. He's done it in big games. He's done it in semifinals. So that all is like going in his favor. He's playing a style I think that Pochettino would like to move towards. And then he has these natural abilities that any coach is going to fall in love with. The issue for Blackman has always been he falls asleep in big moments. And as a center back, it's pretty unacceptable. And there will be flashes throughout the season in which he will lose a marker on the far post, and it's a tap and goal or not organize the back line. I think the organizing part goes away a little because Chris Richards is in charge of that now. And Chris Richards is 1A. And you're looking for 1B. And that makes life easier for Pochettino because he's looking for someone to complement Chris Richards. It's not just who's the two best center backs. It's what's my best pairing. And I think Tim Ream can be that because Richards also can cover over the top and run with guys. But I think we know what Tim Ream is. And I would say you want to throw some stuff at the wall a couple more times before you lock back into this is it and this is where I'm at. And if you're throwing stuff at the wall, Tristan Blackman is an example of that. But he follows a long line of the Matt Beaslers of the world, which are late developing American college center backs who in their prime, what you're getting from them is good enough at the national team level. And there's no ceiling there to say like, oh, in the future, he'll play for AC Milan and that's what's happening. The question is, does he give you the best chance of winning a game in 3 weeks? And there's a decent chance when you get him in the group and he is playing, at that level. And if he's locked in, that could be the case.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I mean, you mentioned Chris Richards, and I was just talking to Alexis about this last week of like Chris Richards 2 years ago, we were like, maybe he could find some, like he's not ready or whatever. And now it's like, in just a short amount of time, it goes from like, I don't know if he's even ready to this is the guy. Yeah. This is the guy we are leaning on.
I think he's the number one person on the national team to most fans right now.
Yeah, I love that that's how quickly it can happen. I wish it could happen more for like other positions as well. Where we like, wow, Diego Luna.
Why don't we do 10 more of these? Yeah,
bench Pulisic. Luna's the guy. Like, I wish there was that level of competition and improvement. But man, yeah, I'm excited for Tristan Blackman. And continuing back to Thomas Müller, he did get his first goal. We had Jaden Nelson on last week, and Müller did score his first goal already in spectacular fashion. But Brian White happened to be offside in the build up to the play. But he gets a penalty, and who was the player that got fouled? I don't remember who it was.
It was Matthias Laborda that went down.
Okay. And he tripped over his own feet in the box, but this tends to happen when somebody clips your heels, and then you hit the back of your like shin or Achilles, and you trip over. But this happened in the box. Now, a lot of people are complaining that there was no contact at all, and that he just tripped over his own feet. But it is almost impossible. I mean, have you ever been tripped up like this? This happens inside. It's happened to me maybe like 2 or 3 times where like somebody runs across me but from behind, and I clip my heels, or they clip my heels, and I trip over my own feet. It's almost like impossible to fake this fall. Like, I don't even know how to pretend to do it.
You'd have to kick your own foot, which is what happens to Matthias Laborda. And the question if he does it on purpose is tough, because it's like you said, it's really hard to do. And the defenders, like, I think I heard someone say like swipe it or swim move, kind of like football style, to get like inside. I think the complaint for a lot of people is it's minimal contact. Laborda is physically running away from goal on the edge of the box in like the 103rd minute of this game, and it ends up deciding at 3-2. And on points per game, Vancouver right now is first in the West and would be second in the league. It was a massive decision. I think it was Fotis Bazakis on the call. Most people already hate every referee they've ever seen before. I think he's probably in that group, unfortunately for him. And so, like, I think there's like a lot going into that. I don't know how you say it's clear and obviously a mistake. So
yeah, because he didn't make the call. He didn't blow the whistle for the penalty. It was VAR that got involved.
And that's where it's hard, because is it 51% or 100, or is it 80% for sure? Right. I don't know either way. So I don't know how you make the call on that. But like you said, I would be in watching it, you're not allowed to do what we just did, which is like, well, how else could he have fallen? Penalty, right? Exactly. You have to see the contact. And I guess he does. I don't know where. So yeah, it was a controversial one. But then Müller scores it, and you see like classic Thomas Müller, right? The celebration's just the scream in everyone's face, and everyone's hugging him, and he's screaming. And you're like, this is what they did. Like, they started him at the 10 because they don't have Ryan Gauld, and they won a game that they probably wouldn't have won if Thomas Müller's not on the team. And like, they might be on the road to a supporter shield for the first time ever. Like, it's pretty cool for Vancouver.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the exciting part is, I did not think, I thought Thomas Müller would be a great addition to the team, or like at least a good addition to the team. I did not realize he would be this much of a marketable factor. BC Place is like selling out. People love him. They love seeing him. I mean, even now we have the Tristan Blackman kind of story. Like, now just Thomas Müller lore is just kind of growing. But I love the fact that he is kind of embracing that role, and that the fans as well are like, yeah, this is our guy. I mean, there's something like, you compare Son at LAFC, and like the connection is clearly much more cultural, with like, okay, we're gonna get the South Koreans, they're gonna come out here, it's gonna be dope. And everybody loves Son, but they know how they're gonna sell the tickets. They know how they're gonna market it. And Thomas Müller is just like a different type of person, and he's just like, I'm a big unk energy, and we're gonna sell some tickets.
Look who's here! I got your nose. I think for people in Vancouver, for someone like him to choose Vancouver is a big deal. Like, it's a city, and we did a lot of interviews on our shows as the team got announced that they were going to be sold, and all the like Grizzlies trauma came back into place of Vancouver people being like, no one wants to be here, no one stays here, they're going to leave, everyone hates us, and it's like all this scar tissue. So I think the fact that he chose to go there has like invited everyone in to be like, this is our guy, like you said, and connect with him. And everything else also has been building, which is like the run to CCC final, the way they've like re-engaged the fan base, the way they've pushed in the league. Like it has all come the whole year. And so I think this is just like the cherry on top. And if this was past years where it's like, oh, they're 9th in the West, they signed Thomas Müller. Yeah, maybe a bunch of fans would show up for the first game and then that's it. But I think there's like real staying power now. And I think people feed off that, right? Like when a crowd feels into it, then you want to come back because it was cool. And I think you're seeing that. But I don't know if you saw, the day he landed, they played Forge FC in the Canadian Championship semifinal. And he went to they were away. So he went to the fan viewing party and just like showed up on his own and they're all like yelling and it's during the game and he's like, I'll give a quick speech, but we should watch the game. And it's like, get ready to learn Kyle Becker, buddy. Like you are in it now, Thomas Müller.
Yeah, dude. All right. Real MLS sicko stuff from Müller.
He's just on ESPN Plus all weekend.
He got there and he's going to be like, no more getting bumped for motocross. We're done with that. All right. we play our games at our stadium at all times. All right. Let's get into some MLS drama, some stuff. Son Heung-min, he scores his first LAFC goal, an absolute beauty of a free kick. Sometimes I see when DPs score free kicks, I'm like, none of us can do this. None of our guys can do this. Why can't? It's not even. It's like it's almost a different sport. You know what I mean? You could just work on that thing. Why are they so good at it? But I guess that's why they get paid the millions that they do out in Europe. It's been interesting the last since Son's debut or even just the announcement. I'm sure you've seen this as well, but the Sonny heads, my man has an army of people that are out here to stand. I mean, this is like one of the modern soccer stands that we have in the U.S. where like the way Taylor Swift has her army. Like you can't say anything negative. I said when he was announced, I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna do that well.
I have seen I didn't see it happen, but I have seen the blowback.
And wow, I had to apologize.
Yeah.
The next episode. I mean,
how does your son feel about the fact that you're trash? Has he spoken up on this?
How does my own son?
Yeah. That's how I feel like the interaction's been for you. Been like, oh, so you're the worst person in the history of the planet?
He's like, how dare you shame the family?
Yeah. I would like to make a statement on behalf of the rest of the family.
He's like, I just learned how to say our last name. I might not say it anymore.
I don't know him, technically.
Right? I barely know the guy. No, I mean, I haven't mentioned this, but my son, and not
oh yeah, sorry, not son.
Just to clarify.
Young man,
he made his Premier League commercial debut. I don't know if you saw the video, but we were in a Premier League commercial. If you watch Peacock and you see I think it's like those two twins or something like that. Whatever. There's a lot of different like influencers and people, content creators around soccer, talking about the Premier League is back. But at 1 minute and 14 seconds in the commercial, you can see me, my son, and my dog, Nutmeg, watching Everton. So obviously, we're not perfect. He's going to deal with some sort of trauma. Everton is going to bring that. But let's get. But he scores his first goal, and the thing this game ended 1-1. There was a goal from Ryan Hollingshead that was taken back because of offside. But I don't know if you've seen this or just appreciate this as well. But Son, to me, is like a fantastic teammate. He is locked in. He gets angry. He's like immediately angry at the refs about stuff, and I'm just like, all right, you are here. You're like in this, and it just makes me think of like bad teammate DPs, which could probably be its own documentary. Did you see the? I saw Taylor Twellman retweeted this about Bernadeschi. Did you see this?
No.
He allegedly Bernadeschi would call out his own teammates and say, "You're not good enough to play with me. You shouldn't even be here." Like straight up direct. And we had I interviewed CJ Sapong about the vaping and whatever. He wouldn't stop vaping and so on. So then now I hear stuff like this. I'm like, bro, this is bad. I mean, at that point, you're just like a bad coworker. Forget just like
in fairness, they didn't make the playoffs any of the year, so he may have been right the whole time.
It's like,
or he might have been part of the problem.
We need more gentle parenting in the locker room. Maybe
I don't know, man. I'm thinking maybe more toxicity in MLS locker rooms might lead to greater results.
Maybe. I mean, we shall.
Why don't we do? We should do some test cases. Let's do a happy team and let's do a sad team, and we'll see which one finishes higher.
Sure. I mean, like when we had like
Austin
Jaden
FC
Nelson
would be the sad team.
Wait, we hear like
down the road.
I mean, I think this is I think both are somewhat valid, right? Like this is why there's the authoritarian coach and then the man manager, and you just flip flop back and forth. And there's really no other different sort of traits. I mean, maybe like the holistic Phil Jackson-ish kind of like, that's the only other coach that sometimes pops up that finds success.
Have you watched, actually we may have already talked about, but have you watched the Man City, what is it, All or Nothing? Was that the show they were on?
I have a couple episodes.
There's like these moments where Pep's interacting with people in social settings and you're like, this looks miserable. This looks so awkward. And it's like, oh, he actually may not be very good at that.
Yeah.
It is bizarre to me that anyone wants to function in a workspace that isn't just like happy and open. But the reality of sport, this is a thing I'm learning more recently because I've been talking to a lot of people and they're like, no. You couldn't run a team that way. Like there's too many players who would like cut corners and take advantage and like wouldn't show up. And you're like, but they're professionals. It's like, no, debatably. And like you're dealing with so many different cultures and some people who like don't come from a culture where you function in workspaces like that, or don't even know that you're calling it a workspace because they're just playing soccer and whatever. So I fully agree with you. And yet somehow you then hear the other side of people being like, the best I ever played was with Thierry Henry, and he always made me wonder if I was playing well enough. And you're like, okay, that sounds miserable. But BWP is breaking Golden Boot records playing alongside him because he wants to be good enough. It is very bizarre. I think with Son, I would say 99% of us thought it would be a good signing. I wouldn't say 100%. Clearly, that wouldn't be truthful. Part of it is because of his style. Like, I think it does fit very well. But the other part is that, which is like, he wasn't going to show up and be miserable and change the culture and like wreck the locker room and all of that. And that's like a pretty good starting point for being like, okay, you can fit in. Is this team the best team in MLS now because of him? I don't know. But like, I think you've seen pretty quickly, he's still got a decent level of pace. He is so versatile in the way he can attack and connect with players. I think a lot of players like playing with him because he likes to play, Harry Kane, like he wasn't the goal scorer. He played players through, he sets them up and all of that. And the free kick is just, I think some of this stuff takes pressure off guys. I think sometimes you see teams where everyone's like, okay, I got to be the best version of myself at all moments because we're not good enough to like carry other spots. And then you get a guy like this and it's like, oh, he'll do that. Yeah, cool. All right, as long as we can like keep it at a 0 and keep the game simple, like Son will get us over the line. And I think that's a pretty cool experience. I will say he's not the only one with stands because Messi stands are out there and they are lurking at all times. But he's up there.
For some reason, Messi stands are like, they don't seem as, I mean, they're also going to be offended by me saying this, but as genuine. I don't know. There's something to, avatars with Messi in the logo. But when it's like a real person, I'm like, all right, you put your face and name to this. It's not just a Messi picture holding the World Cup, kissing the World Cup trophy, and it's just like actually you. I'm like, okay, I respect it a little bit more. I'll be honest. So.
Yeah. There's some really good Messi stands. I think a lot of them are based out of the Uzbek content farms. And they're calling it the MLS as consistently as possible.
Shout out to the Uzbek farm that gets us all our views. I appreciate y'all. Good looking out. All right, let's move on to some Leagues Cup stuff. We didn't get a chance to talk about Leagues Cup last week because we recorded before the matches, but there are no LigaMX teams in the semis to the Leagues Cup. And 2 years in a row that there's no LigaMX team. The whole point of this tournament is to get both leagues together so all the fans are interacting and talking and grow, rising tide lifts all boats. and then LigaMX can't even. Not one team can get past the quarterfinals. So it's gonna be Inter Miami Orlando, which is gonna be I think a pretty interesting matchup. Orlando just rocked Inter Miami, but this was without Messi. And it's LA Galaxy, Seattle?
Yes.
Galaxy Seattle.
And Seattle just rocked the LA Galaxy 2 weeks ago in LA.
Yeah. So the main question, I mean, I think that exciting game is going to be Inter Miami Orlando, and you would imagine Messi missed his last game. He played one and then missed the last one. I assume in preparation for this one. So this game is going to be on Wednesday, but I think the LA Galaxy Sounders one, because LA Galaxy are rock bottom. Are they wooden spoon right now? No.
They're the worst team in the league.
Okay. And, we all sort of held out hope. Will Kuntz was on the show a couple months ago, and we were, holding his feet to the fire and doing everything possible. But it's a...
That's that toxicity again. You're a toxic nature, Christian.
At this point, you can see, especially in the game against Colorado, they sat everybody and they still won 4-0, which is remarkable. but this is their MLS Cup. This is the MLS Cup semifinal, and they have an opportunity. I'll say the semi, right? Even if they lose the semi, they get an opportunity to play in the third place game. So which
gets you a spot in CONCACAF Champions Cup.
So even if they lose, they still have an opportunity. But they have every reason to put everything towards this game. You win this game, and you're good, and you're in CONCACAF. And
you think so? You think the season's okay? Like, you think it's acceptable?
No, it's not. But it's at least some little crumb of positivity that they can go in with. At the very least, I'm sure. I highly doubt Ricky Puig is going to play again this season. I mean, what's the point?
Yeah.
But then, as far as signing other players, it's like, hey, well, we have this other tournament. Maybe you can get them a little bit more money. The budget can be a little bit better. So that I know Will Kuntz is like, bro, we just need to get that.
No, the whole focus is this. I mean, but it's really hard to believe they're going to win because they came out of the Leagues Cup, whatever they call it, activation phase number 7. Yeah. And they came out of that on a high, and they played Seattle that weekend, and they got obliterated. Obliterated. And I think the Leagues Cup thing that's worked for them is, I keep making this joke, they kind of are a LigaMX team. Like, they kind of play pickup basketball is what I say, where it's like you attack, you defend, and no one plays both ways. And teams just break themselves up and, we'll take some chances and maybe we'll create a goal. But if not, then you get to go down the other side and you get to try. Skins and shirts, like the full thing. And so they've actually been good. And there's been weird situations, early red cards for the teams against them, stuff like that. And then Seattle are like not beautiful, but efficient. And efficiency tends to win out against teams that are figuring it out in chaos. So it will be really interesting to see if the Galaxy have enough to get over the line. But it's fascinating that these two teams, well, I don't want to overspeak. This is like a weird tournament, and I don't think Leagues Cup is fascinating. But it is interesting that both these matchups played 2 weeks ago, and the two away teams slaughtered the two home teams. So you're coming into this saying home teams in MLS spheres are always heavy favorites, but yet the proof right now is that they should lose. And I think that leaves it really interesting of like, we have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think for the storyline's sake, the lack of LigaMX teams it hurts. I'm excited for these teams. I think it should be fun. I think even having the third place game thing does feel a little bit like, let's make sure Inter Miami has an opportunity to play. Like, it's so heavy-handed at this point.
Do you not believe in the romance of the cash grab tournament? That seems odd to me.
So, look, I try to be, usually before the tournament starts, I'm like, oh my God, this thing again. And then like 2-3 matches in, I'm like, okay, let's see what Toluca's up to, right? I get into it, and I try to be as like optimistic and give them find the silver lining as much as possible. But I think this, sports in general, they're all about like stories and David versus Goliath and all this other stuff, and to not have any LigaMX teams, I think taints it a little bit, and it kind of ruins it. Because I did like watching NYCFC. I love and I'll give credit. I did love this version of it, that every MLS team played against the LigaMX team. Like there weren't any interleague matchups within League Cup in the first phase. I genuinely enjoyed it. And obviously, and none in the quarterfinals as well. I think that was the right move. And yes, it's sort of annoying because some teams are playing the Open Cup, some teams are not playing, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like a little convoluted. But as like a viewer, I'm like, hey, I know, now I get it. I know who we're up against. And that's it. And I truly did enjoy that. So I'll give credit at the very least there. Let's talk Eastern Conference, because there's a lot going on here. First, the NYCFC, FC Cincinnati against NYCFC. Great game. Obviously, I'm a NYCFC fan. I of course, that's going to be my review of it. But I think NYCFC, I think unbeaten, I believe, in 5. And I think they've only drawn 1. And this NYC, I think this is only their 4th road win.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy for them to be in the position that they're in. They're in 8th or 7th or 8th, but only 3 points back of like 3rd place.
They're in the mix.
Yeah. So to be in this position when the season hasn't been necessarily fantastic is quite impressive. So the thing I was impressed with in general is like NYCFC looked like the home team. It's been rare this season where New York City FC had commanded a game on the road, because they've generally been a little bit on the back foot when they're playing on the road. And I don't know if it's the signing of Nico Fernandez Mercado, Alonso maybe even Muntef Bakrar leaving, and just like now there's no confusion of like who the
I don't think there was a lot of confusion before.
Well, at least there's nobody like that you have to feel bad about that's not getting minutes, right? So but I thought it's been fantastic the last couple weeks. But this game against FC Cincinnati, who was like fighting for the supporter shield, for NYCFC to go to TQL and pretty much dominate. And if it wasn't for, I don't know if I literally have to compile this, and maybe there's like a FB ref or some stat person in MLS. How many times has Alonso Martinez hit the post?
Yeah, you can get those stats. They're out there because we've had players in the past. But yeah, he banged one off the left post,
one on the left
distance.
It has to be more than 10 this season. Yeah. Like combined with League Cup, I've never seen this where it's like he even can't believe it's an ongoing joke. Every time he hits the post, he just smiles. He's like, this is He has 14 goals this season. So I think it set something up for. Are you worried about Cincinnati at all after a result like this?
They're a weird team.
2 home losses in a row.
Yeah, they're a weird team. We did our transfer special last Thursday, and sickos being sickos, Doyle was just watching for fun, so he came on the show with me, Weavy, and Tom. And when Cincinnati came up, and this was before they brought Brenner back, which is the like crazy story that came out of the end of the transfer window, and it was the last minute. And this is a guy in Brenner who scored a ton of goals and was like a bad DP at the beginning and a good one at the end. And they kind of got him for nothing here at the end of the window, but he like burned the building down on the way out just to get himself out of there. And so from a cultural point of view, it's a very odd move to make, and a very odd move to make for a club that's like just dealt with the Lucho stuff. And you'd think you'd want to like stay out of anything like this as much as possible. He was not a part of this game, but it's just saying, like, I don't know that he's the hero coming in on the horse. That's like, oh yeah, well, this didn't go well, but like, don't worry. Our guy Brenner is like right around the corner. And so and what we said on the Thursday show is they have underwhelmed and yet gotten the results all season. And it is a very bizarre team. They have not clicked. They don't really flow. Evander is so good. And there is a lot of building blocks individually that have played well, but it hasn't all come together. This was a bit of a rotated team for them. Injuries, players that have been signed, not coming in yet, all of that. But they really were unimpressive, except for anytime Evander touches the ball, it's like emergency lights are going off for everyone in the vicinity. Right. And I think they're probably over-reliant on him. And the issue with Brenner is we don't know if Brenner and Denke will fit. And what Brandon Vasquez did for Brenner was like very key to them being good. And I don't know that Denke is the same player. And so, yeah, you watch this game and like NYCFC was more dangerous. Both the wingers looked good. It opened up space for Maxi. He really enjoys, I think, playing Hannes Wolf into space. And so having Nico Fernandez and shifting a little of the defense opens up more space. And they looked really, really comfortable. That should not be the case. NYCFC should never look comfortable in Cincinnati. Like, that's just not the way that should line up. And so Cincinnati are bizarrely like Shield favorites and questionable at the same time.
Sure. Look, ever since we Alexis and I did the coin toss at the NYCFC playoff game at City Field against FC Cincinnati, Cincinnati hasn't been the same. I don't know what to tell you.
The negative bump.
We shook Lucho's hand, and he's like, "Bro, I'm too intimidated. I gotta go." And then Lucho left Dallas.
He was like, I met these two alphas in New York. There's only enough space in this country for two of us, and I'm getting out of here.
He felt that aura. He knew he had to bounce. All right, in the Eastern Conference, real quick, just the table is right. What is it? The teams from first is Philadelphia with 54 points, Cincinnati 52, Nashville with 50, and then right here is where it gets locked in. Everybody in the playoffs has an opportunity to host a home game. So Charlotte with 47, Inter Miami with 46, but they have 2 games in hand. Columbus with 45,
Orlando with 47. You skipped. So 2 on 47.
Sorry. Yeah. Orlando 47 as well. My thumb was just over. And then NYCFC 44. They have 2 games in hand. Yeah. Chicago 39 and Rebels 39. And it's again, I did not think that this would be kind of sort of where we are right now. Usually the like the teams that are there's usually a fair amount of distribution between the teams that are like kind of bad or just like mediocre, and it's really just like right all at the top. So it's gonna be interesting what these playoffs even look like. This is like one of those scenarios where I'm like, hey, I'm not kind of the best of 3 is kind of nice. I've never hated it ever.
For sure. Give these teams a chance. Well, yeah, it's a week ago, Philly was a mess. Now Philly's back in first. Nashville was a mess. They smoke Orlando this weekend 5-1. Cincinnati falls off the top spot. Charlotte had been back out of this conversation. They worked their way back in. Yeah, it has just been all over the place. And I think that's what's made it fun. And all of these teams sort of play against, because there's so many of them, everyone's going to play each other still with 6 games left for most of these teams, 7 for some of them. And I think it's going to make it really fun going down the stretch with the heat coming from the top of the West as well.
Totally. All right. I want to get to this before we take a break, but some NWSL stuff. Bay FC, they break the NWSL attendance record. They hosted their game at a baseball stadium, which was awesome to see. So many people come out. So props to them. Also, Barbra Banda is out for the season after an injury, which I hate to see this for sure. For Orlando Pride, but I want to get to this because that's obviously this is relevant.
Yes.
To
we
to
think.
So NWSL Commissioner Jessica Berman. This was a report. So the game against Kansas City Current against Orlando Pride was delayed for several hours because of the heat. It was 94, 95. It was unbelievably hot. And the game should not be played. This was the game was supposed to be aired on big CBS. It was a big deal, right? But apparently, and this is what reports are saying, that Jessica Berman had called the Current or called both teams or something and said that the game should have been played, especially once the temperature went down to like 89 or something. Once it got to a threshold where the game could have been played. She wanted the game to be played because apparently she, I'm going to, in quotes, threatened to fine the Kansas City Current for not following through and playing the game. And this feels, if all of this is to be true, now a lot of people are really calling for Jessica Berman to step down or resign or be fired or be punished in some way because this really isn't looking out for player safety. I mean, I when it comes to heat, I have a lot of sympathy for players. I mean, I was at Club World Cup matches where it was like 91, 92, and it was just so hot. And even as a fan, I'm watching, I'm like, this is really it's difficult to just attend. I went to a Met game when it was 85 degrees sitting in the sun. And even now, I'm like, bro, I'm mad at Jessica Berman right now. Right?
Someone get Pete Alonso some sunscreen. This is dangerous.
So when you hear stuff like this, I mean, it feels a little too, I don't know, mafia boss type. I just don't like to see it. And even, we had issues and controversy with the last NWSL commissioner. And it's just, you don't want to hear things like this. I feel like player safety should be the number one priority.
Yeah, I think some of my understanding of what's happened, this is from talking to people, is the process of what they're doing is not a perfect science. So apparently people were doing wet bulbs, which we've all learned about now, and they come out as different readings. But I think in general, the obvious point is like, okay, if you're right below the line, it's still unsafe. So like, you're not going in and being like, look, I've got the proof. Like, it's not lightning, which isn't there or is there. Like, it's heat. And if it's 91.9 or 92.1, it's probably still pretty hot for everyone and probably not the best idea. And the most absurd part about this whole thing is just the owners of Kansas City have built the first ever women's soccer specific stadium that they pack every single week. And they have spent more money than anyone to push their team to win. They're not trying to avoid playing. Like,
exactly, yeah.
The scenario here is not like, well, classic you, always trying to get away from games. Like, everyone's kind of on the same team in that. But I think one of the things I've learned from this is like, it's pretty big, the players union, that they fought for some of these restrictions so that it's not just up to the call of the commissioner or whoever else it is, and gives another body to battle back against this, because I think it's been pretty well proven that NWSL, from like a organizational point of view, has not caught up to its own talent and its own popularity. And so you have these scenarios where it's like, you should have more infrastructure in terms of scientists and employees and planning, and like someone looking at the schedule 6 months in advance and being like, oh, is it ever hot at 3 p.m. in Kansas City in the middle of August? Maybe we shouldn't do this. And we can have a conversation with CBS about moving this game to a different date, whatever. And all of that doesn't really exist. And I think it came out in all of this. And it's pretty unfortunate. I mean, the whole thing was unfortunate in that this was going to be the best game of the season. And it just ruined the event. It ruined the engagement with it because it was no longer on CBS. It got moved, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. It was on, it was like it was 0-0, right?
It ruined the game. The players warmed up twice and then sat in the locker room for 3 hours not knowing when they were going to go on or not. It was not an Orlando-Kansas City game, which should be the best view and the best show of like what this league is.
Yeah, and now Barbra Banda is out for the season, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, it's terrible. And then another small nugget that was very interesting. Shout out, Leslie Ryder, Gal Pal Sports. She had reported that she was at the Chicago Stars game, and Berman was there and saw her, and allegedly, Jessica Berman like scurried away and ran away from her because she didn't want to be questioned or confronted at all about this. And Leslie has been reporting and does everything to hold NWSL and all parties accountable for any issues in the league. And I just think that's just such a sort of funny part, a little wrinkle to this story of just like a commissioner being like, I gotta find
That's not good for a league that's going in the right direction. This is all stuff you don't want to have happening.
Not great. Let's talk some Premier League. Second week of the Premier League just wrapped up. Actually, we're recording before the final match day, which is Newcastle against Liverpool, which I already love the drama there. I'm excited to see what that is going to look like, who the fans going to yell at, or
who gets booed.
Who gets booed exactly? You know what? We can just start there. What is your take? I've spoken to a couple of people about this, but the whole Alexander Isak situation. He's saying he was promised he was going to be sold and he was going to be able to move on. Newcastle have not found a replacement, but now they're just in kind of the stalemate and are just going back and forth at each other on Instagram stories. So,
I guess the part that I don't get is like, he was promised. Why? Like they have the same amount of money as the other teams, right?
Yeah.
They've been top 4. Like, what is it? I guess what's hard for me is like, I can understand you being told by Sporting Lisbon, for lack of a better team, being like, yes, we get it. we're not the big dog. So like, we'll bring you in when you're ready. We'll sell you. I don't understand it with Newcastle. Like, just be the Newcastle guy. Like, they're a Premier League team that's now owned by a wealth fund. Yeah. They're like, you know what I mean? That's the part I find not hard about it, because like, whatever, I don't care. It's not my life. And I love Isak as a player, by the way. I picked Sweden to win the Euros, like, 2020, because I thought Isak and Kulusevski were going to eat. And then I think Kulusevski got COVID and didn't play. And I was in this like huge pot. And I like put a lot of money on it because I really like them as players. I was just an early adopter. I was too quick on it. So like, I would just want to see him play, whatever. But you know what I mean? Like that's the part that gets confusing to me. And like, I get, so like Eze, who we will talk about, right? Crystal Palace knows that they are not at the same level as some of these other teams. And then when you get to the other teams, okay, what's your choice? What's your emotion? But I don't understand why Isak has to leave in his mind.
Yeah, it's I thought he was when he got there, and then when the rumors already started, as soon as he scored like 5-6 goals, people were like, all right, well, he ain't gonna be here that long. I started. There's a little bit of a culture to, I don't know if it's necessary, just specifically Premier League football, just European football, or just big clubs in general. When that the big clubs, they can poach, and it is not taboo. It is not, we have here it's tampering, right? When as soon as other clubs start poking around and stuff like that. And I guess because it's in the Premier League, I'm like, hey, this is how it is, right? Like, you don't get too attached. It's like the scene in Heat. Don't get too close to anything that you can't walk out on in 3 seconds when you feel the heat coming around the corner. That's what the Premier League is with players. So I don't know. I
just don't know where it
see
ends.
Both sides here.
Like, where does it? So now Isak leaves. He wants to go to a big team. That big team is going to. And then again, I understand, right? For some players, playing for Real Madrid's their dream. Playing for Barcelona is their dream. Some people grow up as Arsenal fans, whatever it is. But, like, you're not that far off. So why blow up everything right now over it? And then on the flip side for Newcastle, I'm sure they promised him something in life. I have zero doubt about that. I don't find it very hard to think that the Saudi wealth fund run soccer team in North England just does random shit.
Yeah. Just scouts down there. So, okay. Let's a couple things in the Premier League over the weekend. Everton hosted their first game at their new stadium, Hill Dickinson Stadium, which I had hosted an event for Everton during the Premier League Summer Series, and we were joking around like, this can't be the name. This can't be what we call it, right? So what's the nickname for the stadium? Are we going with the Hill? Are we going with the Dicky? Any thoughts on what we could try? So Hill Dickinson, for if people are not aware, it is a popular, a very big law firm out in Liverpool, and they have enough money to get the stadium name rights. So that's what they are. But the Hill Dickinson Stadium is a lot to roll off the tongue. So I don't know, any thoughts?
No, this is your space. You're the one. I probably will never say it again after this show. I will never talk about this building in this way. I'll just probably call it Everton Stadium. But, I do like the idea, though, with the Premier League being so global, that Hill Dickinson law firm is like, we're just going to start getting cases in Indonesia and India. Like, they're going to be doing all of the cases across the East Coast of the United States.
Yeah, love it. Hey, Ghislaine Maxwell, I heard you need some representation. Hill Dickinson Stadium. Hill Dickinson is the law firm for you. All right. So, but Iliman Ndiaye scores the first, he scored the last goal at Goodison Park for the Everton men's squad, and scores the first goal at Hill Dickinson Stadium. And then they put out a video this morning of, or it might have been a couple days ago, but they put out a video of when he signed with Everton in 2024. He said that he drove by the new stadium and he was with his children, and one of his daughters, who could barely speak, somebody asked like, who's who's gonna score the first goal at the new stadium, and she said Dada, and then he ends up scoring the first goal at Everton Stadium.
I'm
mean,
unmoved.
It couldn't be.
That's all she knows how to say. This is a plant. This is the Newcastle United of father-daughter stories.
What a beautiful situation. But the person that gets the assist is Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish goes on to Everton, and seemingly even in his post-game comments, even shows a lot. I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe because I'm an Everton fan, I definitely romanticize it a little bit more, and I get affected by the propaganda. They always say like, as soon as this club touches you, it changes you for life and all this other stuff. But for whatever reason, Jack Grealish does seem a little bit sentimental. He's like, I'm glad I chose to play for this club. I was on a FaceTime call with the manager, and I knew that I had to come here. So when you hear a player like a Grealish's sort of status talk that way, are you affected by it in any way? Do you believe it like I do?
I believe that he's happy, and that happiness is being exuded publicly, right? Like, he hasn't been playing. It hasn't been easy for him. I would assume that, like, playing in front of a good crowd and getting to play and do what he does best, that's what's going to make him happy right now. And so I believe that it's a good spot for him, and it works. And I think both parties are going to be way better off for it happening. I think he is of a higher quality than Everton normally gets, and can consistently do that week in and week out at the Premier League level. And I think he just needs to get on the field and play soccer and sort of like refine who he is. But I'm curious for you, new stadium, like, is that sad for you? Exciting for you? Like, did this game feel like a bigger buildup in the way you engaged with it, whatever, than like a normal league game? Like, what's the vibes?
I think so watching it on TV, it doesn't capture the same intimidation. You always hear rival players talk about playing at Goodison Park, and they're like, oh, it's just a
right
really difficult place to play. Yeah. And this time around, and after I've been to Goodison Park and seen a game there, and it does, the oldness of the stadium, the antiqueness of it does make it feels like a little bit like Fenway Park. I mean, that's kind of the closest thing I can compare it to. But it also has the same obstruction poles that Fenway has as well. But watching it on TV, you could tell that the energy was like different, because Everton always have to be like the little brother to Liverpool Football Club, and the fact that they have this big stadium with like 20,000 something more people or whatever, and the one thing I heard from everybody that was there was the place is loud, louder than they all kind of expected, and that over time it'll start to feel like Goodison again. That's what everybody's hoping for. But there is something interesting about seeing like the safe standing section of like, that Dortmund has, and the modernness of it that makes it look a little bit like, it's the Evertonian Liverpool like blue collar guys but they're in the safe standing like in the yellow. It's just like you're just like sort of not used to it. But I love
we it's a bunch of old Everton dudes with tattoos being like, yeah, this is we're in the sensory overload area of the stadium. This is just where we hang out and watch. But
the stadium has the automated, like, it pours the beer for you. Like, they don't have like servers or bartenders or whatever. They have that. They have all these like modern things that are like where shout out to the guys from Toffee TV, which is an Everton like fan channel, and they're sort of explaining like how to get a beer and and you're watching it almost like this is how you tell your grandparents how to get a beer now. But it's like for a lot of Everton fans, they're just like not used to this kind of stuff. That this is what they have to kind of like be introduced to. But I think it was a 2-0 win. But still, there were still errors that Everton always make. Tarkowski giving the ball away in a terrible, terrible spot. And luckily, Jordan Pickford was just spectacular. I don't think he got mad at the match. He probably should have. But it was for the first game at the stadium. It was that was like the kind of the best scenario you could have asked for. But I'm excited. I'm hoping to go to a match this season and maybe bring my family and stuff.
Ooh.
They've never been. So
I like that it's on the water. I like the way it's set up. I think it looks cool.
It does look cool. The one thing about it being on the water that I've heard is that it is cold.
But inside?
England's already cold, but apparently because it's by the water, and I don't think it's like necessarily windy.
Yeah.
But apparently it's like quite cold, colder than Goodison.
Interesting. Also, I believe that in saying British people live within a 7-degree radius. And if you go outside of that, they're like, oh, it's quite cold. And you're like, it's like 65 degrees. And they're like, yeah, it's not as moderate as you'd expect. We had to drive 2 hours to get here. You're like, all right, relax. Get over it.
Another positive, I think, story in the Premier League is Arsenal signing Eberechi from Crystal Palace. I believe the fee was up to 91 million with incentives and stuff like that. But I think this is one of those universal stories and signings where like everybody is like, I'm happy for this guy. I am like, there's something about well, maybe not Tottenham fans, but I like that. Since Son left and went on to LAFC, Eze could be that universal where like, hey, I hate the club, but I really like this guy. And Eze's not super vocal. He's like more of a subtle and more dry humor, but he could, like, I see a lot of one of the things that I loved. You know that kid that was like viral on TikTok and stuff like that. He's like in England and he does like shuffling. He like dribbles and stuff, but he's like he dribbles like excessively. Like he does like little toe taps and he looks goofy.
As a joke.
I don't know his name. It's like a joke, yeah. But he's like you can tell he actually knows how to play like football. He knows how to dribble and everything, but he just over accentuates every single move, and it's like very goofy and silly. And Eze did like they did like some sort of video where he met him, and the kid started dribbling, and Eze was like, "Oh, bro, I can't believe I'm seeing this in real life!" Like he was just so happy to see him, and I'm like, "This is a genuine guy. He's a good dude." But I'm excited for even seeing Arsenal fans happy about it. They just beat Leeds 5-0. We're so dominant, but I love I don't know. I think Eze's bringing some positive publicity, especially after the Thomas Partey leaving and everything. So it's shining a more positive light on the club. But I genuinely think this is like a thing that is exciting for the Premier League and not just Arsenal.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think the way it happened too, the timing of it, what they announced him 30 minutes before, officially announced him 30 minutes before the lineup dropped. And so it was like as much of a flex as you could get out of a pure signing, and to do it to your rival and all of that. But I think the genuine nature that you talk about is like, he's from the club. And so he's a big fan. I think there's probably some internal issues that we should all talk about at some point, of like why he has to be bought for $70 million and why he can't come up through the club and play for the club and then break through. But his decision to push there, like different than Isak, like we're saying, which is like these two teams are somewhat of a similar level. Arsenal fans would disagree, whatever. And he did it because of the emotion. And then I think most people have seen, they did a sit down with Ian Wright to sort of announce him at the Arsenal stadium. And then he shows this video that Thierry Henry took. And it's like one of those things where you're like, dude, you're in these spaces. He's like overwhelmed by the video of Henry being like, I know this was a dream, but it's not anymore. And like, now it's time to deliver, but like, welcome to the club and like, welcome to all of this. And this is what Arsenal stands for and all of that. And he speaks very well on it, which is there's nothing to say. Like, I'm speechless. And he explains being speechless in a way I've actually never heard before. And I am going to steal now of, he's like, if I say anything, it will ruin this moment. There's nothing you can say. And you're like, holy, how old are you? Like, what do you do for a living? And, but all of that, I think, is what you're talking about, which is that's how people see Son, of like this person who is genuinely proud of and believes in what they're doing. And we all can connect to that. and want to believe that that's what the game is built
Yeah,
around still. And he's like a true embodiment of all of that. And he's fun to watch. So I think there's a lot to like. And I think there also came down to the end of the transfer window. Like, this was the big story, right? No one else was looking at anyone else. And so it's like they had the limelight for 48 hours and Arsenal just knocked it out of the park with all of this.
And he could have held on to a lot of resentment because he was in the Arsenal Academy and he got cut when he was, I think, 13 or 14. I could have easily been like, I'm
going to come back and dunk on you.
or like, I will never go back here. I don't want any interest. Apologies for doing literally construction outside, but you may not hear it, but we can cut it out if necessary. Oh my God, this is brutal. Anyway, but I love that was like he is just, all he does is put a big grin on his face.
Yeah.
And just smiles. And the camera was panning to him all the time in the broadcast during the match against Leeds. And he was just happy. I'm curious, where do you think he's going to play? Alexis, as of some people are suggesting he could be on the wing. I don't think he should be on the wing at all. I would say put him where Declan Rice is, a central midfielder.
Oh, interesting.
Make Declan Rice play the way when like he was at West Ham. Maybe put him back as a defensive midfielder. I think both. I think that's the best scenario because Zubimendi, I think he's fine. He's a decent player. I'm watching the game. I'm like, there's nothing about his play that I'm like, that guy has to be in this squad. So Eze, where do you think he goes?
Unfortunately, I think the conversation's already over because Odegaard got hurt and Saka got hurt, I think, in the game. So I think it will be by force, and this best 11 combo will take a little while. But my guess would be in their best 11, he would be on the wing. Because I think also you're like, how much responsibility do you throw on someone who's new? And like, can you make the game easier? Because I think to the point of like Zubimendi and how he looks is like, well, can they just be water carriers for the four in front of them? Because I think the feeling is with the big spend at center forward and with Eze coming in, the front four may finally be good enough to just create enough chances that you don't need to like overload and throw everyone in and all of that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, can you be a bit more stable? And I think that's the opportunity that exists if you can fit him in and you can get the front four flowing and attacking, where it's like you've got 4 goal scorers across all those positions. You can stretch the field. You can beat players 1v1. You can connect underneath. And I don't think that's been the case at all since Arteta's been there.
Right. Robbie Musto on the broadcast called as a silky. You know, where Musto's calling you silky, that means
because you know he's wearing a silk shirt while he says it.
So no, Eze is a player, especially the FA Cup run and scoring the goal in the FA Cup final. He is someone like, I just love his style of play. There's just something I like, and especially him and Odegaard. I mean, speaking of like sort of silky players, and then definitely know how to dip their shoulder and control and sort of move defenders a little bit. And like having 2 players like that on the same team is going to be, I think, pretty exciting and interesting. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know how serious Saka's injury looked, maybe a little bit more serious. I'm not sure how long both are going to be gone. But yeah.
It just was classic Arsenal that they had this euphoric moment before the game started. They scored 5 goals and yet came out of it being like, are we in trouble? It was like the most Arsenal thing that could have happened.
I mean, Saka got injured he made a run for out wide, and he was like cutting in and he's like pushing off a defender. And as I'm watching it, and then I see obviously he gets hurt, but even before he got hurt and I'm watching him do the move, I'm like, you don't need to work this hard. You're like up 4. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
You don't need to do this. And then he ends up getting hurt. So
it's Tom Thibodeau style. You know, you got to play to the final whistle.
Bro, rotate the bench. I mean, realistic, Arteta should be like, all right, you're getting 36 minutes, Saka, and then we're switching it up.
Well, he's only spent about 240 million pounds on the rest of the roster in the last offseason, so he doesn't really have players. The
kid came in, the 15-year-old, Dauman.
Yeah,
fantastic, bro. He is what Martinelli should be, right? Like just go at players and really like trying to show off. Like we always joke around that Martinelli doesn't have the boom cha cha that Brazilians are supposed to have, and Max Dauman got all the boom cha cha. He took it all.
Full Space Jam style.
So, all right, let's wrap up there, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Gass, another shout out for Kickback and Soccer Wise. Let people know where to follow and how they can lock in to everything happening with Kickback.
Yeah, our new show is called Kickback Committee. I learned how to spell it. You just double all the letters, double M's, double T's, double E's, if that's an issue for you, which it was for me. That show comes out every Tuesday. Susanna Fuller, our good friend, the full-time host of that one. We rotate through some other co-hosts that we've had. Mark Anthony Kay, Brana Pinto, Matt Doyle has been on with us, Heath Pierce as well, Claudia Pagan. And then we have guests just talking like the fun side of soccer. And I think if you like this show, you'll like that as well. Susanna does a great job. Doyle dropped a brain bender last week. He put together his dream North American-based American national team versus European-based American national team as the next friendly. So Pochettino doesn't have to decide which one to go with. So just have the LigaMX and MLS-based players play the European ones. Susanna Fuller is the partner of a full-time head coach for One Knoxville, Ian Fuller.
That's right.
And so she is bringing us behind the scenes explaining touchline style and what coaches should wear, what they shouldn't wear. And believe me, Cologne is going to get mentioned in this one because I don't know if you saw, their head coach wore a Cologne jersey on the sideline.
I did see that.
But not the one they were wearing in the game.
He won the whole. I'm assuming he was not allowed to wear.
Probably. They throw the penny on him like full CONCACAF style. Like, bro, what are you, the manager of Guatemala right now?
He wore the home shirt during an away match.
But like unacceptable. And obviously tucked into jeans because he's a German head coach. So what else he's going to do? So we do that. And then Soccer-Wise 3 times a week covering MLS and NWSL. I think, as well as anyone does it. So Jordan Angeli, Tom Bogert, my co-hosts, and we have Casey White, who is guesting on our show this week. We had Brana Pinto last week, just talking all things soccer. So you can follow us anywhere you get your podcasts, anywhere you watch on YouTube, or anywhere on social media, but especially on Blue Sky.
Blue Sky, y'all are blowing up on Blue Sky. I love that you guys are partnering with them and doing a bunch of stuff. I mean, it's the only rational social media site to use at this point.
It's fun. But we need more people on it. So if you're not on it, get on it. It's the place to talk soccer.
Totally. All right. And also shout out to Susanna Fuller because I know she's obviously going through a cancer battle and fighting that. But she did post like positive news and optimistic news. So that was great to see. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Make sure you follow us at Soccer Cooligans everywhere on Blue Sky as well. We're at soccercooligans.com on Blue Sky. Hit like, hit subscribe on YouTube if you have not yet. And as also Yahoo Sports has a new fast channel that you can go check out. It's yahoosports.tv if you want to watch it on your browser. But you can watch all the Yahoo Sports podcasts and shows. We are just another heads up. We're going to be in Germany for Bundesliga match week 2. So we're going to catch 3 matches there. So this Thursday, we have a very special episode with Chris Wingert. That's coming out. He played for RSL. He was on the inaugural roster for NYCFC. And we have a great conversation. A lot of real MLS sicko stuff. A lot of old MLS stories. Especially with RSL winning MLS Cup in 2009. We talk about all that. So tune into that. That's a really, really fun interview. We recorded it a couple of days ago. So be on the lookout for that interview with Chris Wingert. And we'll be in Germany this weekend. Labor Day is next week on Monday, so we won't have a show that day, and we'll be back next week, Thursday, to talk about everything that happened in Germany. It'll be a really fun trip, and we'll tell all the stories of the 3 matches that we do attend. All right, I know the first one that we're going to is Hamburg against FC St. Pauli, so I'm really looking forward to that. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Shout out to David Gass. We appreciate it. And we'll be back. Enjoy the show on Thursday and enjoy Labor Day weekend. All right. Take care, everybody. Peace.